So today we're making crunchy peanut butter cookies, and I am obsessed with peanut butter.
And so am I.
So if you are too, you're going to love this recipe. They're loaded with both peanuts and tons of peanut butter, and they're crunchy on the outside, kind of soft in the middle, and you can actually make these ahead of time. So I think they're perfect for any summer barbecue or cookout. They're a total crowd pleaser.
What I'm excited about is that I'm a horrible baker, so Tessa is here in our kitchen. She's gonna show me how to make the perfect cookie.
Yes, perfectly uniform. Everyone will want this recipe. So in this recipe, we're actually featuring Simple Truth creamy peanut butter and Planters dry roasted peanuts.
All of the ingredients in this recipe are shown below, and they're available at your Kroger family store,
which is Fry's, where I'm from in Phoenix. Hey guys, it's Tessa from HandleTheHeat.com.
And Alex.
And Sonia from A Couple Cooks. Welcome to our summer barbecue series.
We are so excited to be teaming up together and with Kroger, your one-stop shop for summer entertaining.
And we are whipping up healthy, real food recipes from A Couple Cooks.
With delicious baked treats from Handle the Heat. So let's go ahead and dive on in. So let's go ahead and get started with the dry ingredients. I have all-purpose flour, and I always like to weigh my flour when I'm baking because it just makes it 100% accurate. It's actually super easy to accidentally compact way too much flour into your measuring cup, which can lead to dry, dense cookies, which we obviously don't want. So if you're not using a scale, be sure you're spooning your flour into your measuring cup so that you don't accidentally add way too much. So to the flour, I'm going to add both baking powder and baking soda.
And now, why do you use both the baking powder and baking soda?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I like to use both because the baking soda actually helps to create more browning and spread, and the baking powder helps to create a little bit more lift and height. But I actually have a whole video comparing baking soda to baking powder. I'll link that down below for you guys. And then I'm also gonna add a little bit of salt because that will help bring out the peanut butter flavor and the sweetness.
And what type of salt do you like to use in your baking?
I like to use fine salt, so either table salt or fine sea salt. I find that kosher salt can accidentally have too much of a salty taste and flavor because the coarse granules are just a little bit too large. So I'm just going to give this a quick stir of my dry ingredients. So now we're gonna move on to creaming the butter and sugar. So I have 1.5 sticks of unsalted butter. I always like to bake with unsalted butter. It allows you to control the amount of salt. There's actually no standard amount of salt that the government mandates for salted butter. So it could be twice as much in one brand than it is in the other brand. So that's why I always like to use unsalted.
Wow.
So I'm also using both granulated sugar and brown sugar.
And now, if someone didn't have a stand mixer, do they need to have one for this recipe?
No, you could totally use a handheld electric mixer,
Okay.
but having the power of the electric mixer really helps to create nice, smooth, beautiful cookies. So you can go ahead and close that. And we're only gonna beat this for about 2 to 3 minutes, no longer. When you're making a cake, you wanna beat more air into the butter and sugar, but we don't wanna do that with cookies. If you've ever had cookies that have come out of the oven and they look really tall, and then as they cool, they deflate into flat little sad cookies, it's probably because you beat too much air into your butter and sugar, and the cookie couldn't actually hold the structure of all of that air. So just 2 to 3 minutes, medium, high speed. Okay, so I'm gonna add 1 egg. And I always like to have my eggs at room temperature when baking. It just makes them mix in a little bit easier, and we can beat that in. All right, so next up is the creamy peanut butter.
Yes.
It smells so good. So I'm just going to scoop that in. And I love that this recipe uses peanuts in 2 forms. So you get the perfect amount of peanut butter goodness.
Ooh, I cannot wait to try them.
And we can beat that in as well.
Right.
The next ingredient is a little bit of vanilla extract. And I hardly ever measure my vanilla, I just kind of eyeball it. So lastly, I'm just going to add in the dry ingredients and give it a quick mix. Starting on low speed so you don't end up with flour all over the kitchen. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of the peanuts to give us that crunchy extra burst of peanut goodness. And then quickly mix that up. So we're going to get started scooping out the cookies onto a baking sheet. So I'm just going to scoop out about 1.5 tablespoon sized balls of cookie dough. And I like to use parchment paper to line my sheets. All right, so the next step is actually to roll the cookie dough in some granulated sugar, which is also gonna help give it that crunchy exterior. So what I like to do is actually you can grab one of the pieces of dough and roll it in between your palms. This is going to give it a really beautiful picture perfect appearance. And then you just roll it in the sugar and then pop it back on the baking sheet. And then you're actually gonna take a fork and make an X on top and press the cookie down. They don't spread out too much, so we kind of wanna help them by pressing them down. And then they'll go in a 375-degree oven for about 10 to 12 minutes or until they're just slightly golden at the edges. All right, so the last batch, they're done baking. So these gotta cool until they're completely cool because we don't wanna burn ourselves, although it's hard to wait. These are perfect with a glass of milk too.
They look amazing.
Are you guys excited to taste test?
Yes.
Can't wait.
Do we get to?
But before we do, I just wanted to quickly say, I think these are perfect for any barbecue because you can actually make the dough ahead of time and refrigerate it for up to 72 hours. Or you can scoop the balls into onto a baking tray and then freeze it. Once the balls are solid, then you can pop them in a resealable container and you can keep those frozen balls up for like, I don't know, 2 to 3 months, and then you can bake them from frozen. Just add a couple minutes to the baking time. Okay, so
Love it.
give them a taste test. Let me know what you think.
They look amazing.
Good.
Yes. This
Crunchy,
is like
peanutty.
the classic peanut butter cookie.
Right?
So good. And the texture, like you said, is just perfect.
Yeah.
Don't monkey with this. Follow the recipe.
I'll try not to.
Follow the recipe, it's listed down below. Be sure to check out all of the other recipes in our series. We'll link to the playlist that will have all of them down below as well.